Triple XP. Triple XP.
Record now.
Okay, go.
Perfect. Welcome to Triple XP. This is episode 15, and it is our first episode of 2021. We have made it through 2020. I am Shane, and this is Mike.
Hello, we did it, boys.
We did it! We're through to 2021. And this week we have with us JB.
Hello, I'll behave this time.
He has promised he'll be on his best behaviour. Promise.
Snip, 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 snip.
So you can find us on the usual places, YouTube, Spotify, and all the other podcast apps and websites, whatever it is you want to use. But for this week's episode, we have some potentially exciting news about Cobra Kai, especially as I didn't know about it. Mike's PS4 died, and he's learned that the Switch does have good games.
Yes, it
And
does.
we talk about games that we would want to get made. But before we get into any of that, how was everyone's Christmas and New Year? I feel like this is the last time we can talk about Christmas and New Year because we're
Yeah.
8 days into January now. This
Yeah.
is it. This is the
Yeah.
final conversation we can ever have about Christmas.
Yeah, it was alright.
No, you first, Mike, please.
That was it. That was mine. It was alright.
Yeah.
Same as every year. Ate too much.
I was wondering.
Drank too much.
I was wondering what that noise was you just made, but I got it now.
Yeah, it's I.
Cool. Yeah, mine was also really not much different than what we did all year, which was can't really do much of anything, but we did run up to hang out with my family for a couple of days, which was really nice.
Nice. I mean, we got slammed into like a tier 4 situation where you can't like meet any of your friends or family or anything like that. So all Christmas plans just went out the window.
That's a drag.
It's literally full lockdown, but with a different name.
Yeah.
Wow.
That is literally tier 4. It's a lockdown, except your kids can go to school.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, my Christmas time, my New Year was horrible. I had to be up at 6 a.m. on New Year's Day for some personal reasons, and there was a fuck ton of fireworks going off on New Year's Eve.
Oh, I hate
It
that.
literally surrounded I honestly felt like my house was under some sort of artillery bombardment. It was ridiculous. It sounded like it was going off in my living room. That's how close they were. It was absolutely ridiculous. And I was getting angrier and angrier the later it was getting, knowing I had to be up in like 4 hours' time.
Yeah, I think the whole like fireworks as an adult thing is so fucking weird. I think fireworks are cool, but you should probably stop thinking that after 15. Not to the sense that like if you're going to go to a community park and watch a fireworks show, that's different. But to set them off in your neighborhood,
Yeah.
you have to be a fucking asshole. Like you should have outgrown that a really long time ago.
Yeah,
100% agree.
fucking spending like 200 quid just to have some loud bangs in your back garden is just like, I don't
Yeah,
get it.
you're
It's
just
so
like you suck as a person. You're not a good time.
Well, it is the literal definition of burning £200 as well, because that is all you're doing. You are literally burning £200 worth of paper and card in your
Mhm.
garden.
Yeah.
But no, I agree. I genuinely think fireworks should be licensed only. Like only events and things should be able to hold fireworks, and people shouldn't be able to just buy them freely.
Yep, I'm all for that rule. We can call that the grumpy old man law, but
Yeah.
that's one we're sticking to.
I mean, I'd just like to point out they are technically small explosives, and should you be buying small explosives anyway? Just saying. No expert, but
my
well,
my New Year was pretty good. We did like a bit of a Discord thing, didn't we, with some of our friends and stuff. And
Yeah.
Shane, you hosted a quiz,
good old fashioned quiz to ruin all your nights.
the quiz of the year.
Really good time.
Yeah. New Year's Day, not so great. Not so great at all for me. I know it's a running thing that I am usually hungover like during like a lot of recordings, but New Year's Day was like an epic. Like I didn't stop being sick till 6 p.m. I think.
Oh,
Yeah,
That
so
actually hurts me.
yeah, but I went
Yeah.
through several beers, a couple of bottles of wine, and a bottle of gin. It was bad.
I
What's
mean,
the
your
first-
wine tolerance
It's-
confuses
it's
me
getting
anyway. My tolerance for wine is less than a bottle because I fucking hate wine, especially red wine, and you drink a lot of red wine.
I do now, yeah. I mean, I started drinking it because I was like, I drink too fast and I get drunk too quick, so I'll drink something that I don't like, and it'll take me longer. That was my
That's
logic. And now I'm like, yeah, 3 bottles of wine.
I just okay, fair enough.
Mike,
I
when
don't
you
have
started
anything to
feeling normal, what's the first thing you ate?
New Year's Day dinner, which is just another Christmas dinner.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I tried to eat it at
Uh,
3 o'clock, but it was a no-go.
Yeah,
You
been
know,
there.
3 hours on that.
I don't even think I can. I think my body wouldn't cope with that level of hangover anymore. I don't even think I could. The thought of it makes me feel ill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just my body is too old and too withered now to be able to deal with that sort of shit.
hmm It's a sharp drop off too. It's normally like you can tolerate hangovers, or you don't really know what a hangover is until you're like 25, and then all of a sudden they're your whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally 25 comes along and then like life just goes.
Yeah.
Well, you're fucked now.
He's a hangover every day, but with back pain.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah, I was-
welcome to Triple XP, the Old Man Podcast.
The Old Man Podcast. But that's what it is, though, isn't it? Like, I was saying to someone recently, actually, because I've got the job I work in, I've got quite a few people on my team that are like under the age of 22, 23. And they always give me that, oh, yeah, I don't really get hangovers. And I'm like, oh, fuck off. When I have a hangover now, it lasts about 4 days.
Yeah. All right, son.
Like, literally have to get a wheelchair out and be wheeled around for a few days because I can't walk.
Get a tattoo, an IV bag.
Exactly. Like the concept of moving any muscle in my body feels too much effort. Just unnecessary. But anyway, should we move on to the news before we just continue down this rabbit hole of how shit we all feel after some drink?
I mean, I can moan for a good 2 hours.
I know you can, but no one wants to hear it. JB, seeing as you've bought 2 this week, should we sandwich? You start us off. Me and Mike will be the filling, and you can finish us off. Oh, hello.
That sounds hot. All right, so first one. So hopefully you guys have seen season 3 of Cobra Kai and finished it. If you haven't, I highly recommend it. Obviously, we won't go into any spoilers.
I think we both have.
Okay, excellent.
I mean, we both have bonsai trees because of that. We're watching this on day 1.
Well, this will be right up your alley then. In a recent interview with Decider, the Cobra Kai creators John Hurwitz, Josh Held, and Hayden Schlossberg, they were approached with the question basically, is season 4 kind of the final chapter of the series? And they said, quote, season 4 is not the conclusion of the Cobra Kai story. There are still many twists and turns and crowd-pleasing moments to be had before we reach the end game that we've been planning since the beginning. We can't go into too much detail about plans beyond season 4, except to say there is definitely a lot more story to tell in the Karate Kid Cobra Kai universe, end quote. So
interesting.
That's pretty interesting and exciting.
Yeah.
Because, and this is obviously skating around spoilers so that we don't ruin it for anyone because it's still fairly new. The way that season 3 ends and sets up season 4 makes it feel like season 4 is going to be the final season. Like the way that it sets itself up, you think, oh, okay, this is going to be the penultimate season.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's the other thing with this news is that it's exciting, but it's also season 4 will probably be the perfect way to end it, and it sounds like they're going to go beyond that, which means they're probably going to fucking ruin it.
I don't know. I've got faith in them so far, and it depends. I suppose it depends where they go with season 4. It may. I mean, our ideas of how season 4 could play out may not be the way it plays out, leading to it being a bit more open.
That's
I'm
true.
still really, really curious to if they're going to bring in Hilary Swank's. I've forgotten her name now. Judy Pierce, Judy, whatever her fucking name is.
I never saw that movie because who cares?
Is she the?
Oh, yeah,
Is that the or fourth Karate Kid, whichever one it was?
She's the so it's the 4th film, but like the second Karate Kid, if you class Daniel as the first one.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was the only reason why I don't think they would bring her in is she doesn't have any tie to any of the characters in the original Karate Kid except for Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah.
She's the only person she's tied to is him. But I was discussing this morning actually. I wouldn't be surprised if they have like a scene at like the All Valley tournament or just where something's happening and Daniel's like getting frustrated, and then they have her character show up and just like impart some Mr. Miyagi wisdom and then leave, so that the fans know it's her because he's never met her, so Daniel wouldn't know who she is. But it could be like something very specific that makes him remember something that Miyagi says, and then she disappears, so the fans are like, "Oh, that's such and such." I can see him doing it like that.
Like she comes in and just claps her hands and rubs them, and
There's so it's in her film. She had a scene. There was a scene where she had to stand on the like Japanese Zen gardens that are like the stones in the middle, and they're all sand that they like rake into patterns and stuff.
Oh yeah.
There's a scene in her film where she has to like stand on one of these rocks and like perform karate moves on it without falling off and like getting her balance. So she's just going to come in, just stand on something, show us her balance, and then leave. Like balance on a bin in the middle of a car park or something.
Yeah.
But very interesting.
Yeah.
And I love season 3.
If you've not seen Cobra Kai, like stop what you're fucking doing right now. Stop listening to this. Just go and watch it. It's so like, it's just the cheesiest, worst acting. But
So good.
it is so good. It's like delicious cheese.
Yeah.
It is the best. The best kind of, and I know we've spoke about it on this podcast before, that the best kind of modern day /80s /cheese perfection.
Yeah,
they're so self-aware. They know.
Yeah,
they know how
exactly.
cheesy it is.
Yeah.
They lean into it in just the right amount. And what's really exciting is Sarah hasn't seen Karate Kid, the core movies 1 through 3 yet. And so obviously she and I watching the series together, she's interested, and I'm really, really excited to watch those with her. I think it's gonna, because she loves the show. I think she's gonna love it even more after she sees those.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you know what? Like, it's almost like, you know, when you watch a celebrity chef on telly, and they just pull together all of these ingredients, and you're just sitting there going, "That ain't gonna fucking work. How's that shit gonna work with that? That's gonna taste like shit." And then all of a sudden they pull out like this incredibly perfectly baked pie. You're like, "What the fuck have they done?" That is this. All of the aspects of it shouldn't work together, but they are just baked in a way that just makes it stick perfectly.
Yeah, that's actually an excellent summation.
Perfectly baked karate pie.
Exactly. What do you want? Mike, do you want to move on to your story then? Because I have no idea what this is about.
Yeah, I mean, in light of like the recent riots, I know Jamie, me and you like spoke about them a little bit before this podcast. The DC demonstration, I want to say loosely.
The revolution.
Yeah, you know
did
that.
You call? Wait, Mike, did you just call it a demonstration?
I mean,
did you just call a bunch of fucking rednecks storming the U.S. Capitol a demonstration?
I guess if that's what they want to call it, you know.
But, it was basically terrorism, basically.
Yeah, all that.
It was a gathering of patriots, so they say.
Yeah. So politics aside, there was a well-known Twitch emote, which is the PogChamp emote. I don't know if you know the emote on Twitch, but it's the kind of one where
definitely
it's
seen it.
like, I mean, there's no visuals here, so you're just gonna have to work with this. So it's just like, ooh, it's that one, you know.
Right. I know exactly which one you're talking about.
Whatever that image puts in anyone's head now, that is the emote that you're referring to. No matter what they picture.
That's PogChamp, but the face that it's based off, like the guy, I think he was like a Street Fighter commentator or something like that. Either way, it doesn't matter. He kind of encouraged the riot bullshit that was going on, and so Twitch just removed that emote now, so it's no longer like an emote on Twitch, and they said it will return as an emote
when all this shit's dealt with.
But it won't be his face anymore. So they will keep PogChamp, but it'll be a different face.
Be a different person.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fair enough. Because, I mean, let's be honest, that whole not getting into the politics of it was fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
And
know,
yeah,
like I said to JB this morning, I know it's serious when I come down in the morning and Ellie's got the news on.
Like something's wrong. Something bad happened.
Oh shit, what's going on?
So, I mean, I've not been following it massively. I've seen a few little clips and stuff, but I've had that Animaniacs video in my head.
Oh god.
All day.
JB,
I've honestly watched it about 50 times.
I sent it to Sarah today, so you could probably get it off her.
Yeah, I'm not sure what you're referring to.
When you
I'll
see
watch
it,
after.
you'll understand.
It's literally, it's just a meme, but yeah.
It is just a meme. And I mean, anyone who's listening to this, the minute I say Animaniacs and that event would know what I'm talking about. If you've seen it, you know.
Yeah, if you know,
you haven't, then you'll hopefully one day you'll get to see it. It's out there on Twitter, but it's fantastic.
I mean, if you haven't, you're old, like JB.
Yeah.
just don't touch social media, so he doesn't get to see all these beautiful things.
So,
that's literally all I ever send Mike is stuff from social media.
Yeah, just TikTok videos and
yeah,
just
interesting.
Garbage.
I mean, you can't blame Twitch for that. That's a perfectly reasonable response. I feel.
Yeah. I mean, it's fair enough. People are like, I've seen like streamers and stuff being like, make me the new face of the PogChamp, and so it's just like, you know, it's just one of the things. It's a well-known face has said something out of turn, and then they've just got punished for it, which is fair enough. You know,
they
can't have people representing their brand with, you know, stuff like that on the social medias and stuff.
No, I mean that's the big thing, is that you've got to be so careful now. I mean, look at what happened. Was it James Gunn and Disney? Like, you got to be so careful when you're in the public eye as to what you once said, what you are saying, what you do say, JB. Because that shit comes back on you.
The bad boy of Triple XP.
Something like that.
So, well, moving on to my story then. I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but Epic Games has purchased toolmaker Rad. Are you aware of Rad or anything around this?
No. What is Rad?
No.
So Rad is they're a tool maker for video game development. They build like tool sets and create a lot of tools for video game creators to use. And they've actually been about for a very long time. And they've actually, essentially, and this article kind of sums it up, if you've played a game anywhere in the last 21 years, you would have played something that's had their tool set involved in building it.
Okay.
So that they very much go under the radar with regards to like in the public eye, because they just work on a lot of the background stuff. So some of the stuff that they've sort of talked about is they build a lot of the tools that build the codecs to when they're building games that help like with data storage and things like that. And one of the big things that they worked on, so for example, they've got a program called Oodle, which is a data compression utility, which recently it was purchased, it was licensed by Sony, and they have a special edition of it called Oodle Kraken, which is the data compression system that allows the PS5's data loading to be so fast.
All right.
So
Okay.
it's specifically built for the PS5, that particular version of Oodle. But essentially, what they're hoping to do is so they've got Bink, which is another one of their like main tool sets, and what it sounds like Epic is looking to do is bring RAD under their name and incorporate a lot of the tool sets that they've got into the Unreal Engine as being part of the core Unreal Engine, so not something you have to later add on. So then developers, when they go to use the Unreal Engine, will have these tool sets pre-built in, which should essentially help make video game development better, easier, more efficient, because that's what sort of the next Unreal Engine's going for, isn't it? With the pre-built tools and things like that to make it as efficient as possible.
Yeah.
But it's, considering how big they are, it's a really interesting purchase.
Yeah, this is firmly in like, Carillion Jedi territory of like discussion. Because I mean I can't speak for Rad. I don't know anything about them, and but I think any of like the major acquisitions now, you look at Xbox, Bethesda, they're doing those big purchases on these big companies or smaller companies or these unknown companies like Rad, because they want to make like big moves. That's why they make these acquisitions and mergers and stuff like that. So I think.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a smart move.
Yeah.
And I mean, Epic have said before that they want to make the Unreal Engine the most open, accessible, and advanced real-time 3D creation tool that is out there. And I mean, we look at Unreal anyway. How long have games been using Unreal Engine for? Like, how good is Unreal Engine for starters? It's one of the few engines that has not struggled
it's
throughout the time. Exactly. I mean, you look at things like Frostbite and you see it getting old where it's not being upgraded. You look at whatever the fuck it is that Bethesda use that they haven't changed in about 400 years. You look at some of these engines and they just don't get the love they deserve to be developing. But you look at Unreal, and Unreal, no matter what games you're making, no matter what level you're at, whether it be now building for the PS5, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, the Unreal Engine has always been there at the forefront of pushing the technology for development. So yeah, it's something that popped up I saw today, and it's quite an interesting story. It'll be interesting to see how Epic uses that and how that's going to help with game development in the future, especially with them saying that the Unreal Engine should help cut down development time. So yeah, we'll have to kind of keep an eye on that one.
I think the simple, obviously, implication there is that it could potentially increase or make development time more efficient, which is for us gamers good news. So if there's anything we can extrapolate from that, it's like, yeah, okay, cool. Maybe it'll be a little faster.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it means that I get God of War 2 in 8 months instead of 12 months, I'm all for it.
Yeah, and then that's a big fucking deal, That's significant. So
exactly. Do you want to end to finish us off then and tie up the end of this sandwich? I don't know where I'm going with this, but
yeah, no problem. Just don't get any on my face. This is really just kind of an interesting soundbite. So Microsoft recently distributed a survey to customers who had purchased an Xbox Series X or S console. And obviously, soliciting feedback for how they were feeling about it. But one of the things that was interesting was that one of the questions was, I am aware of features on PlayStation controllers that I wish were on the controller that came with this console. And then the survey also specifically asked later on which controller features Xbox Series X or S owners would like to see from the actual PlayStation controller itself. So I thought it was just interesting because it was, one company who was being very transparent about their customers' interest in a competitive console technology.
This is kind of Xbox being like, oh, is she better than me? Was she
exactly better? Well, I think it is literally that, isn't it? Because Xbox for quite a few years, or literally the whole last generation. One of their biggest things is we have the best controller out there.
Yeah.
Like we have the most loved, most popular controller, and the DualSense 5 is slowly being like rising up that rank now of potentially being people's favorite controller out there. So yeah, it is very much them going, wait, they've done better than us. How can we come back from this?
Yeah. But I mean, I said this at the beginning that when the consoles launched, that the controller was like the big selling point for the PlayStation, where you have this like extra level of interactivity. You have like feedback on your triggers, and I mean, I've not had the pleasure of getting a PlayStation 5, but I'm sure Shane, you can tell us more about how it feels in your hand and stuff. But from what I've seen and streamers that I've watched and stuff have said that like this is the next sort of generation. This is the next step in like storytelling and the feel of like a game such as like so I bring it up all the time, but like The Last of Us.
What a shock. What a fucking... Hold on, everybody. Mike wants to talk about this game.
But we can't even get past episode 1 of 2021.
Just imagine if you can feel those shots that you're taking when you blowing someone's knees off, or you're hitting someone with an arrow, or like stabbing someone in the neck. Just imagine if you can feel it. Just imagine how good that would feel.
So listeners, while you're imagining that, also imagine a week where we don't talk about The Last of Us or Skyrim.
Not on my watch.
One day. But no, you're right. It does feel great, and it to the point that Ryan actually had to turn the I forgot what it's called now, like the vibration function down, the haptic feedback. He had to turn that down on his controller for Destiny, because where he's been playing obviously Destiny for years, and he's only had the old school rumble. It really threw him off, and he was like, "I can't get used to it because I'm so used to not having it."
Yeah, I've heard that with Breadstick. He was saying that, he was playing COD, and the trigger would like cease; it wouldn't fire, and he'd be like, "I'm just used to like wrapping the trigger and just firing as many shots off as I can, but because of the fire rate of the gun, it will fire slower, and you have to pull the trigger slower." Because that's the fire rate of the gun. But to me, that's more realistic, and that's kind of what I want from that feedback and that level of integration. That's what I want from a game. Whereas he just wants that kill instantly, and he just wants to like be, as quick as possible, and that's why he's hitting the trigger as fast as possible. But with Destiny, it's like muscle memory as well. That kind of comes into play.
Yeah, well, this is it. Ryan was like, "Yeah, are you not feeling this issue?" I don't know what you're talking about, mate. And then I realised that I literally turned the music off and the vibration off when I first got Destiny 2, and I've never turned it on since. I don't know what the music sounds like, and I've never had the vibration on. I just want to hear the guns and play the game. I don't want no vibrating shit. But yeah, I mean, it's good though that it at least it shows Microsoft are listening to their consumers and
getting back to that.
I don't even think they fucked up, because it's not a fuck up on them. They've not done anything wrong to get to this situation, but at least they're going, you know what, we can learn from these people, and we can potentially make something just as good, or if not better, if we learn what our customers and what our consumers want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Xbox come back with a controller that does exactly the same features or improved upon, and they also have Game Pass. It's like, where's your competition, PlayStation? Where's your Game Pass kind of thing?
Well, exactly. But yeah, Mike's as you've probably learnt now as well, listeners, Mike still doesn't have PS5.
Yeah, not bitter about it.
I still don't either, Mike, if it makes you feel any better.
It does a little bit, yeah.
He's not bitter about it at all, because he's been playing the Switch. So,
been
you know,
playing the
little
Switch.
segue there into what we've been playing.
I've been playing the Switch because my PlayStation fucking broke on me. That's why.
It's that time. Your PlayStation's looked to you and gone, he's trying to fucking replace me.
Yeah.
Fuck him.
It's like, oh,
Not having
PS5
that.
time to melt down and just not work whatsoever.
Committed seppuku or whatever the word is.
Exactly.
Yeah, someone will know. Someone will know.
Yeah, somebody will know for sure.
Probably not the person that listens to this podcast.
Yeah.
Um,
Let us know in the comments.
on the on that note, then, on seeing as you've been playing the Switch, which is a very different controller, what have you been playing?
I've been playing Luigi's Mansion 3. I've really delved back into like the back catalogue of the Switch game because it's been unused for a long time.
Can I just
been
pause you
gathering
for a
dust.
moment there? You've wrote in the notes, completed it, mate.
Yeah, completed it, mate. Yeah.
You've actually completed it.
I actually finished the game. 2021 goals complete. Finished the
Wow.
game.
Finish one game. Did you get right to the last mission and then just wait till New Year's Day and then do that last mission and go, yeah, 2021, complete the game?
No, I was like, I really need to finish this because when I first started it, I was like, oh, I love this. It's really like it's got that really Nintendo polish and that delicious like Mario charm that everyone fucking loves.
Delicious.
It is delicious. It's just like you play Mario Odyssey. It's just got this polish and like the charm, and it's all there, and all the characters they're like family. But I got towards the end, and I was just like, this needs to just fucking get done, and because it was a rental from shout out to the boys at Boomerang. It was a rental, and I was just like, this just needs to get done, finished, and I can send it in the post. I was like, in the last mission already, I was like tying my shoes, ready to send it back in the post box. Like.
No, I feel that though, because even games that I love, I get to a point where I'm like, oh, it just needs to be done now. I just want to move on with my life.
Yeah. And this is one of those games where, although saying that, like, as you go up in floors, because it's set in a hotel. I know it's called Mansion, but it's set in a hotel.
Spoilers.
Yes, massive spoilers.
I mean, it's not on the front cover or anything.
Kind of is.
No, it is on the front cover. That's my point.
But yeah, as you go up in levels, you have to hoover up a ghost. I mean, this is great for people who love hoovering, because this game you just spend all your time. Honestly, like you just hoover shit up constantly. Like it's great. You got OCD. This is the game for you because you just hoover shit constantly.
There is though, and because I hate hoovering, I find it the worst, most frustrating job ever. But I remember vividly because like each floor is like a different theme. One of them is like it's like ancient Egypt or something, and you get to hoover sand, and it's the most satisfying thing.
I'm so glad you mentioned this.
in the world.
So good. I spent so long on that floor. It's like right near the end. Why didn't they put that at the beginning? You know, put more sand in the levels, please. Because
just literally, JB, if you haven't played it, the entire floor is just covered in like a good sort of couple of centimeters deep of sand, but you can hoover the entire room clean. Yeah. And it's so satisfying watching all this sand slowly disappear.
It really is. I like walked into the room. I was like, "Oh my god, I can suck this floor. I can suck this. Oh my god!" And I was like, "I'm hoovering this whole floor." So yeah, I've got
ready to get sucked floor.
Yeah.
The only thing I don't know how you felt about this. The one bit that really frustrated me was whenever you had to fight like I think it's like a cat style one that goes through different floors, and I was like, just fuck off. This is annoying.
Yeah. I think we're like hitting the same beats on this because the cat boss thing was just a fucking roadblock. Like you get to that floor and you were like, take the key thing off you, or it was a button for the lift, so you couldn't get to the next floor without going down a few floors and chasing this fucking cat that just vanishes through a floor. So you were like, all right, I've got to go down a floor and find that fucking thing again. And it happens like maybe 3 times throughout the whole game.
Yeah, I think that's about the amount.
And it's just so infuriating each time. Um, but that said, like each floor is a different theme, or as Shane puts it, theme.
Theme, different theme.
And it is interesting. Like each floor is like, oh, this is like kind of cool, a different theme, and the puzzles are like kind of different and stuff. But the simple puzzles, in sort of similar to like a Lego game. But
Yeah,
once I finished that game, like I had a really good time playing that. Like I hoovered an entire hotel. Like there's 15 floors. I hoovered every single inch of it. Like, but once it was done, it was satisfying to actually finish a game. It was really good.
I almost feel like, I mean, I do feel bad about your PS4 shitting the bed, but I almost do feel like, and not that I want this to happen to me, but it is a little bit of a blessing in disguise because I'm the same way, man. I have so many games on Switch that I want to play, but for whatever reason, I always prioritize PlayStation games. And I think it's just because I have a bigger PlayStation backlog than I do a Switch backlog, but I don't even I rarely even try to get to my Switch backlog because I'm just
Yep.
completely distracted by PlayStation.
I think one of the other problems is because I used to have this conversation with Ryan quite often when he used to work in London, because he used to get through Switch games like fucking nothing, and I was like, what the fuck? How are you playing them so much? But then I remembered he was always playing them on the train, and the Switch for me is the handheld is where I play it. But if I'm not leaving the house, apart from to drive to work, and I can't play it while driving, I have nowhere to play it that isn't in my house. And if I'm in my house playing games, then I might as well just play on the TV on the PlayStation.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I mean, when I first got the Switch, I used to use it all the time because I used to work out in the community. So I was out like on buses and things like that as well, and I used a lot of trains and things. So then the Switch just became this like perfect console. I'd play it every day for several hours
Yep.
while I was traveling or whatever, and I would get through a lot of games. Like my most played games are things like roguelike, like a lot of roguelikes like Dead Cells and well, it's not a rogue game, but Hollow Knight was another one where it's just pick up and play and die and then start again or whatever. But it was those games where you just play like 5 minutes or whatever, and then it was just that perfect console for that if you're traveling for work, to or from work, and you can play. But when I stopped doing that job, just revert back to PlayStation, stopped getting all the exclusives and stuff on Nintendo, and they are like super expensive. That's another thing that like puts me off personally. Is like you look at Breath of the Wild now, super old, been out since the day one or whatever of the Switch lifespan, still like 60 quid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, you have to
like,
remortgage your house to have a Switch
Christ.
backlog that's bought from Switch.
Yeah.
Like bought from Nintendo.
Yeah, so that like I've just got all of the Nintendo exclusives on my rental list, and I'm just waiting for them to send
I'm
them.
exactly the same. I only ever rent Twitch games now, and I mean I'm like you guys, exactly the same. I've got this Switch backlog that I never get around to. I've just bought Ni no Kuni on it that I've played like 5 minutes of, and I'm still never going to get back to playing that.
Yeah, same.
Bravely Default 2 comes out soon, and I really want to play that because I loved the first one on DS. But again, when I played that on DS, I had time to play that. Now I'm like, oh, it's just I'm going to get it, I'm going to rent it, I'm going to whatever, and then I'm probably going to play 5 minutes of it, and then go back to playing whatever's new on the PlayStation that week.
Yeah, I mean, over Christmas I had, I was meant to go away to Germany, but all the flights got cancelled because of lockdown and COVID and all that bullshit. So I had a lot of euros to spend. I had like 300 euros. So I was like, I'm just gonna buy a shit ton of Switch games.
Reasonable.
Which I did, and I was really in the mood for like a JRPG. So what I did was I bought about 5 of them, and then I played one. I was like, shit.
I'm really in the mood for them, so I will buy all of them. You're
Yeah.
like the guy who
Yeah.
goes into the bakery really in the mood for a cake, and comes out with like 2 bags of cakes.
Yeah, several cakes. I'm the several cake guy. That is me.
Yeah, I can see that. So JB, what have you been playing, mate?
I recently, I don't know if it was recently. I don't even have a concept of time at this point. But Persona 5 Royal. So I started this game because it is Sarah's favorite game of all time, and I've watched her play it, but she always plays it in Japanese, and she's also played it 5 or 6 times, so she fast forwards through all the context. So I never knew what it was about. I was like, okay, I think there's a perverted volleyball coach who like beats his students and like tries to fuck kids or something, and so you change his heart, or that was my understanding of it. And obviously that's kind of it, but it's just so fucking good, man. I could probably go on and on, so I'm not going to. At this point, I think I have 100 hours in, and I still have 3 palaces to do because I've been spending so much time in it and enjoying it and grinding. And I was telling Sarah the other night, I'm at that bittersweet point where I don't know if you guys, like when you get really wrapped up in a video game and it's just, yeah. And I'm at that point now where I'm a little over halfway through, and I'm enjoying it so much.
100 hours,
and
halfway
I'm just
through. Better slow down.
Yeah, well, and I'm like, oh man, I still want to play it. I want to play it with every free moment I have. I want to be playing this game, but at the same time, I'm like, I need to try to slow this process down, because that feeling, you know what it's like when a game captures you like that, and then it's over. You just feel like shit for 3 days.
Yeah,
you're like,
yeah,
fuck, man, I'll never get to play this again for the first time.
Exactly that. There is very few titles I've ever like completely finished, and then a few days later, or even like a week or month later, thought about it and just gone, I'm really upset that I'm never going to be able to experience that for the first time again. And Persona 5 is one of those games. For about 6 months afterwards, I was like, I want to play it again, but I also know I can't, and it's really upsetting me.
Yeah.
I think replayability for me is like a huge thing. If you can like replay a game and get a similar or different experience, then that's a sign of like such a good game. And there's very few out there that for me are just like, yes, this is like such a good like moment or whatever.
I think it's like, I genuinely think replayability is
it's like rocking horse difficult. Shit. It's so rare.
Well, the problem is because it's like it's the same as like rewatching a film, isn't it? The replayability is it fun enough to replay? Yes. Are you going to get the same experiences from it? No, you're never going to.
Yeah.
Like Last of Us being a prime example, because I'm sure that's replayable for you. But those experiences where where like an enemy jumps out on you for the first time, you're never going to get that same shock factor you got from the first time you played it. The same as if you watch a film and then you see it again, you're never going to get those same emotions that you had the first time around. So I find replayability something that's really difficult, because in most games I'm like, once I've seen it once, I've seen it, I've experienced it, and I also don't want to dampen that experience by experiencing it differently.
I totally agree, and that's why it's so rare for me to go back to a game. Apart from Last of Us and Skyrim.
Well, that's because Skyrim doesn't have any emotions, so you can go through that as many times as you want. But no, anyway, back to JB and Persona. Are you enjoying it though?
Yeah, man. I'm head over heels in love with it. I honestly, I'm in. I'm completely absorbed. I'm super invested in all the characters. Even that fucking Yusuke weirdo,
he's
art guy. He's growing on me though, man. And that's the thing that this game does, is it makes you start caring about it. And I haven't felt this way since Mass Effect, where you're like, holy shit, man, I really fucking care about these people. And it's so weird. But it's so I don't know. Like I said, I mean, I'm spending a ton of time with it. It's taken me forever to get through. I have to take a lot more cartoon porn breaks because the girls in it are really hot, but that was to be expected. But I'm also just really taking my time with it because I'm enjoying the grind. I'm way over leveled at this point. Like when I'm going to palaces, I'm just trucking through people, but I've never played a turn-based game before, so I was really, really intimidated when I first started playing it. And so I've been really trying to get my characters high to this point where, because it's not a combat system that I'm comfortable with. I feel very, I still feel very much like in that neophyte stage where you're like, okay, what am I supposed to do here? But I'm hooked. It's
100
just,
hours.
it's
You're
so
still in
fucking good.
tutorial territory, right?
It's what it feels like. Well, that's the thing is that also the tutorial. It's such a brilliantly paced game for that. I can't believe how approachable it was, because it is a very complicated system, or at least for someone like me who doesn't play turn-based games, it seems like a very complicated system at this point. But the way they roll it out, it's just, I don't know, it's masterfully done. It is completely worth all the hype, because I have heard nothing but good things
I
about
really
this
agree with
series
that.
for years.
Before my PS4 crapped out, I was playing Persona 4, and that's why I'm so bitter about people with PS5s, because they can still play that game, or people with working PS4s, because I was playing that game, and I was about 20 hours in, so still early, very early on in the game. But it just had this like hook in me, where usually with JRPGs I kind of skip a bit of text, and I'm not really too bothered about the characters and stuff like that. I just kind of want to get to the actual playing of the game, because with JRPGs there tend to be a lot of like tutorial heavy right at the beginning, and I've played a lot of them, so I'm kind of like, yeah, I'll figure it out, whatever. There's nothing new here for me. But with Persona 4, it just gets the hooks in with the story like really early on, and it just, I'm assuming it just does a great job of just carrying that on throughout the whole game.
Yeah, definitely.
Because like you're saying, Sarah's played a lot of this, and I've watched the streams, and I just have no idea what's going on during the story, but the game looks great, and it plays really well, and so I was excited to like just get into the story, and I was really into it. Like I was saying, I was really into a JRPG thing, and Persona was just filling that gap, and then my PS4 broke, and I just OD'd, like bought a ton of Switch games that I'm never gonna play.
Yep, I absolutely adore JRPGs. They are my favourite type of game, my favourite genre. I do love them so. But a couple of things from what you were saying, JB. You're probably at a point that I got to with Persona 5 Royal, where you become so over-leveled, you can literally run through the enemies without having to fight them.
Yes, it's so fun.
It's ridiculous. The entire last palace, I didn't fight a single thing. I just sprinted through everything, because it just becomes so over-leveled. You're like, well, this is easy.
Yeah. It's funny and I'm trying to avoid that. So I was playing on normal, and Sarah has been watching me just like spend 4 hours at a time in Mementos, and she's like, maybe you should move up to hard. And I was like, okay. And then she was in the kitchen the other night and watched me, play Mementos for about 90 minutes, and then said, hey, you're probably good on grinding now, because she's just watching me do that, just truck through everybody. But it's so satisfying. I don't know.
That's
I can't stop.
exactly what I was doing. You just put it into the speed mode, like sprint or whatever it is, and just drive through them, and just like, yep, that's an easy 2000 XP. Yep, that's an easy 2000 XP.
And I'm like, I want money too, because I'm like, well, I want to buy Ryuji a nice new pipe, because he and I just had a really nice time getting ramen the night before. You know what I mean? So now I want to buy him a new melee weapon. So I'm going to spend 4 hours in Mementos. I mean, what do you want? It just happens.
What sort of level are you at the moment?
44 or something.
So when you get a little bit later on, there's you may have seen it if you spent that much time in the Mementos. You know the Chain Reaper guy. Have you come across him yet?
Yeah.
So you can fight him and beat him later, and he's worth a lot of XP.
What level do you have to be to fight him? I tried once and I got
It's high. I think because I completed like the original story on I think I was like around 70, 75, and then there's like some extra stuff they've added in Royal, and that's where I beat him. So I must have been around the 75 to 80 mark when I fought him. But he gave me enough XP that after fighting him maybe 4 or 5 times, I was a level 100.
Oh shit!
So
All right. Nice.
I ended the game on the max level or 99
Awesome.
or whatever it was. But yeah, he gives you good XP, and he's actually quite hard to fight as well. Especially that first time anyway. After that, he was ridiculous.
Yeah. All right. Something to aspire to.
Yeah, definitely. But I love the fact that in my head, all that's happened is you've watched Sarah play and go, "Oh, this is a game about a paedophilic, abusive volleyball teacher. I'm in."
I mean, yeah.
I know nothing else, but I'm in.
That was the initial hook.
No, but you're right though. They do a great job, and I think that's something that RPGs really struggle with. Apart from JRPGs, I think JRPGs generally get this right more often than not, whereas Western RPGs only get it right sometimes, and that is developing each character and each character's personal stories well. JRPGs have a really good job of spreading the love across all of the characters so that you get to really understand all of them. And I find sometimes of Western RPGs, a lot of the characters either just get sidelined or you just get like a one-off side mission to try and show you what they're about, but you never really learn that much about them. Whereas JRPGs are particularly good at that. So it is up there as one of my favourite games of absolutely all time.
Yeah, and it's cool too because this is a genre that has been completely off of my radar forever, and I've played this one game and I'm like, holy shit, this is one of the best games I've ever played. So I'll be coming to you for recommendations for JRPGs after I wrap this one up.
Yeah. And on that note, are you and Sarah going to play Persona 5 Strikers?
I am for sure because that's Persona 5 Dynasty Warriors, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Comes out next month.
Yeah, I'll absolutely get that.
Is that a Switch exclusive or Switch first?
No,
or
I don't think it's a Switch exclusive or Switch first. It's out in Japan at the moment, but let me have a quick look because I'm not 100%. But but it does look pretty good, and it plays more like, as JB said, it plays more like a Dynasty Warriors style.
Yeah.
So you play as the same characters, but it's got like that Dynasty Warriors-esque fighting hundreds of enemies at once. Persona 5 Strikers.
JB has a JRPG recommendation. I'd go either Dragon Quest 11 or Octopath Travelers, which is what I've been playing.
Both of those are great. Or Ni no Kuni, the Wrath of the White Witch.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Ni no Kuni I'm familiar with.
Yeah, I mean, if you're into your Studio Ghibli anime type stuff, I mean, it's definitely worth a look.
Awesome,
Kuni,
thank you. It's funny because my only exposure to Dragon Quest is there was Mike. I don't know if you ever played Dragon Quest Warriors, which was their take on Dynasty Warriors mixed in with Dragon Quest characters.
Yeah, I've seen. Yeah,
so I played the 1 and 2, and I loved those, but I've never played any of the other ones because I was like turn-based. That shit's for nerds. I'll never play a turn-based game, and now I'm completely obsessed with one.
So Persona 5 Strikers is being made by P Studio and Omega Force, so the guys who make Dynasty Warriors. And it's going to be for Switch, PlayStation 4, and Microsoft Windows, and I believe it comes out next year. Which is very, and it's set 6 months after the events of Persona 5.
Oh shit!
So it's not a retelling of the original story. It's a new, fresh story.
Oh, nice.
I mean, we talk about a Dynasty Warriors style game and also story.
I mean,
come on.
Omega clearly are doing the combat. Somebody else is doing the story. Omega Force aren't great for their story. We know
Omega 4 are just like, first you got a bash, and then bash, and then bash.
Well, Dynasty Warriors. What we doing this year? Well, we're going to tell the same story again, exactly the same. Mate, no changes. Just not even going to upgrade the graphics. We're just going to give it a different number and throw in a couple of new characters that no one's ever heard of.
Yep.
Whatever, man. FIFA doesn't change their story.
I mean,
accurate. To be fair, FIFA has started to include a story mode.
Yeah, I mean, The problem with Dynasty Warriors though is they actually did adjust the story a little bit, but they actually made the game worse.
Oh yeah,
It got worse as time went on. It didn't get better.
How? How are you doing this?
Exactly. I love Dynasty Warriors, but Dynasty Warriors 4 for me was the
You can-
last really great Dynasty Warriors.
Yeah, you can stop at 2, can't you? Like,
It just after 4 it started to go down. 4 was the first time I think they added the ability to climb ladders, and after that it just went downhill.
oh shit, ladder climbing, boys, let's go.
That was mine and Max's childhood. I remember we spent about 3 hours once just trying to kill Lu Bu.
I remember, like,
Oh, Lu Bu. What a
yeah,
motherfucker.
what a piece of shit. But my one Dynasty Warriors story was, my mum was like a huge gamer, and she sent me to the shop with £50. She sent me on the bus. I got the bus. Used £50 notes to get on the bus. The bus driver tutted at me, gave me some change. So I got to the game shop to buy Sims 4, which she sent me to, like, go and get Sims 4 and we'll play it. We'll come back, we'll play it. I got there because I'd spent like some of the money that she gave me to get the bus. I didn't have enough because it was exactly £50. So I got there and I was like, oh shit, what can I do? So I bought Final Fantasy X and Dynasty Warriors 2 and came back. I was like, got these, Ma. And she was just like, what the fuck?
Well, believe it or not, Dynasty Warriors, I don't know if you're aware of this, but Dynasty Warriors 1 started off as like a Street Fighter-esque one-on-one fighting game.
Yeah, I believe so.
And then that didn't really go anywhere, and then they made Dynasty Warriors 2 and went, fuck that, we want to kill thousands of peasants, not just one. We need you to
I didn't know
rock
that. That's wild.
Yeah, Dynasty Warriors 1 was a one-on-one side-scrolling fighting game, literally like the old Street Fighters. But obviously, fighting one enemy and killing one enemy just didn't have the same impact as killing in the entirety of China, in peasant form.
Just before we move on to what everyone else has been playing, what you've been playing.
Yeah.
JB, favorite Dynasty Warriors character to play as? Go. I'll wait. It's fine.
Sorry, you totally stumped me. I'm actually. I'm gonna have to look him up. I know what he looks like, but I don't remember how to say his name.
Shane, what about you?
So I've got 2 favorites, and then there's 2 go-to characters I use a lot. I always go to Zhao Yun as my first, the spear, long hair spear.
Yeah, the horsey spear.
Zhao Yun, yeah, the main one who's always in the trailer.
Yeah,
he's always, because he's just easy to get started with. I can't remember his name. Zhao Tai, maybe? He's like the samurai sword guy that like constantly puts his sword in and out of his sheath.
Yeah, I think it's easier to name the weapon than it is. Like,
yeah, I'm sure it's like Zhao Tai or Zhou Tai. He's one of my other go-tos, but my absolute favourite is the twin sisters, Kingzi and like.
I mean,
cheesy or so. Yeah, basically, there's 2 twin sisters, and they use fans as weapons, and I fucking love them.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was always the Anwei. It was like the bald guy. It was this bald white guy who just headbutted his way through like thousands of people with his like massive broad axe and a horse head on his arm for a shield. But he just headbutted his way through everyone. And it got to the point where I played him so much that I'd like leveled him up that much that I could just headbutt Lu Bu in the head and it just die immediately.
Nice.
Yeah, so Zhao Kai and Dao Kai are the 2 sisters.
All right, I had to look my guy up. It's Liu Bei.
The twin swords.
Yes.
And the leader of the which not Wu. I've forgotten what the 3 of them are now.
It's like Wu,
Wei, and Shu, and he was the leader of Wei.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of them. Yeah, sure. Yeah,
yeah.
Anyway,
because I also used to play. Just before I move on, I also used to play the Romance of the Three Kingdom games, which is the same thing. So it's the same story because that's the story that they're based off of is the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, and except it was a like top-down Command and Conquer-esque style strategy game,
Oh God, yeah.
but it had a really ridiculous story. Like it got even more into the emotional political drama instead of just the
It's based on a book, isn't it? The whole Dynasty
yeah
Warriors.
yeah yeah. It's based on, like I say, the Romance of the Three Kingdoms stories, and the battles of these three kingdoms fighting over ownership of China. But anyway, before moving on,
We have
before we
talked about Dynasty Warriors a lot. So-
and also none of us have any sort of real knowledge or understanding around China or its history, and we're probably going to make tits of ourselves. So someone will be offended in China when they hear this.
Shane, why don't you talk about the game that you've been playing, which is Dynasty Warriors MMO?
Literally. So I've been playing Black Desert, or as I like to call it, the Black Desert. It's exactly what Mike said. It is Dynasty Warriors, but an MMO.
It's Dynasty Warriors combat, isn't it? But
yeah, it's got that Dynasty Warriors-esque combat to it. It's not
Mm.
quite the same, but it's got that esque combat to it. Quite fast, fluid. It's an MMO on console and PC. Is it on Xbox as well? I think it is, isn't it?
yeah, it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's on Game Pass actually.
Oh, is it? And it's, I mean, it's very Japanese in its build. It reminds me a lot of the Final Fantasy MMO, the Final Fantasy 14. A lot of the
Yeah.
elements of it are very similar.
Yeah.
But it's got that typical Japanese MMO of there being loads of fucking missions in a row where you have to just run and talk to somebody and then run and talk to somebody and run and talk to somebody and do absolutely fucking nothing in between running and talking to people. But
No, a lot of running and talking and leveling up. It's been great.
there is a lot, yeah. Well, that's the thing I have noticed with this game though, is you don't seem to actually level up by completing quests. You level up from combat, but you can run and talk to about 50 people in a row and you would gain fuck all level.
Yeah.
You just move the story along a little bit. But no, I'm enjoying it so far. It's like it's a big open world, a lot of different classes that you can play as. I went with the ninjutsu class because I thought I want to be a ninja.
They're kind of less a class and more of a character, aren't they? You play as.
Yeah, so there's full character customization, but the class and the gender is locked.
Yeah, that's it.
So you can only be a female ninjutsu, but you can only be a male ninja. And like each class, like sorceress is a female only class, but then there'll be a different class for males. But but the move sets aren't the same; they're slightly different because they're a slightly different class. So you're locked to that, but then the actual design of your character, outside of the fact that they're female, is down to you. And there's a heavy emphasis on large breasts. That seems to be a big thing in this game.
Yeah, so I haven't heard of this, and so I was just doing I'm just kind of Googling around, and I'm like, man, some of these archers, they have really nice butts. I hadn't noticed the breasts yet, but I have noticed some nice archer butts.
When you're going through the character selection, you're like, it's working for it. It's like, man, she's got large breasts. Man, large breasts, large breasts, large breasts, large breasts.
I can see why you went with the female ninja then.
Yeah, so I've gone with a large-breasted ninja.
I also see you're a man of culture.
Yes, but she's got some cool moves. Like she has like that proper, almost anime-esque ninjutsu style where she can like disappear into smoke and come back out again in a different place.
Oh, nice.
Sort of like a
as you level up
Dragon
as well,
Ball Z sort of thing.
You get like different moves, don't you, as you level up?
Yeah, so I'm level 24. So I'm not particularly far through it for an MMO because they're like up to like level 100 or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm still quite early on, and I've not unlocked that many moves, but I'm really enjoying my character and how quick it plays. I haven't had a chance to play co-op with anyone as of yet, but I do like the node system in it as well.
I just want to mention that the huge turnoff for me, because I played this a while back, I mentioned it to everyone, including you, Max, who's now playing it. But the thing with me, it was region locked, so you couldn't play with I couldn't play with you for example, JB, over PlayStation because the servers are just locked to the countries. So
That's
that was
annoying.
it was a huge turn off for me. Because
Yeah, that is annoying.
at the time I
But
was trying to play with American friends and stuff. So
now me, Max, Ryan, and you have it. So when you get a PlayStation 5, you can come back.
yeah, when you've all finished and you're back on Destiny, mint,
I know.
mate. Yeah, cheers.
I'll never be finished. But the
So Shane, you're playing this. I'm asking because it sounds like you're playing this on PlayStation because everything I'm finding on the internet is calling this like a mobile game, which is interesting.
yeah, I think it is on mobile
I think
actually.
it's a mobile version, but it's not.
Yeah, it's not the
same.
full.
Gotcha.
But yes, I'm playing it on PS5 because it's currently on sale for it's the PS4 version. But just playing on PS5 because it's currently on sale for $10 for the Foundation Edition or whatever it's called. But my understanding is it is getting a PS5 upgrade, not like a full graphical upgrade, but like a performance upgrade, just so it runs a bit smoother and faster.
Yeah, which is something it needs.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I haven't had any issues with it on PS5. I've had no real lag or jerkiness or anything like that. It's played really smoothly. And as I say, in the node system, I really enjoy that. So basically, JB, it's kind of like the nerdy math side of me coming out because when you go to different towns and locations, it unlocks a node, and you can go in there and spend these special points that you earn to basically connect the node to other nodes. And by connecting nodes up, you can create trade routes between towns. And by creating more trade routes, you unlock more stuff that you can purchase, and you unlock more things in that town and stuff. And you can also collect, mine certain things from them, things like that. But you have to collect the trade routes first to set them up. And I kind of really like that very, very minor element of management involved in it as well.
Yeah, it's very I saw someone explain MMOs as someone on Twitch, and when you're playing an MMO, it's really fun, but when you're watching someone play it, it's kind of like watching someone do the taxes or
yeah,
it's it's kind of really
Literally.
dull and it's just oh, okay, cool, more numbers.
yeah.
But
It is
if you get
literally.
into the game, it's good.
The only thing that frustrates me is I left my horse somewhere and now it's really far away. So I can either pay someone to bring it to me or I can go and get it, but it's really far away. So it's not going to happen. The horse is just going to stay where it is until for whatever reason, for a quest, I have to go back to that location. I'm never going back to that horse. See you in 2022, horse, when I'm back in this area. In the meantime, I have things to do. But no, I'm enjoying it a lot, and I'm really getting on with it. Apart from that, I haven't really. I play the usual Destiny and stuff, but nothing. Oh, there was something I did want to quickly mention before we move on to segment 3. I rented. Shout out to Boomerang again. Godfall, which was the PS5 timed exclusive. It's. What's another word for shit?
Anthem
really?
Shit. No, it's not awful. It's not awful by any means, but it's not fun.
Anthem with Swords.
I've heard mixed reviews.
No, because Anthem just wasn't good. It wasn't. Anthem had elements where you can see why this would be fun, but it's just not very well built. Godfall's well built by all means, but the combat feels quite lazy and a little bit repetitive and frustrating. The boss battles just feel frustrating as well, and from a story perspective, I don't know what I've played about an hour of it, and I already have no idea what's going on, nor do I care. So it's not gripped me in any way to make me go, let's keep playing this.
Yeah.
I find it quite slow and sluggish, but so Demon Souls and Bloodborne, for example, have that slow, sluggish element to them, but it's all about like building that rhythm of knowing what you're doing. Whereas with this, it doesn't feel like there's any rhythm to the combat. You can just go in and literally just hack and slash, but in a really slow, unmethodical manner, and it just makes the whole thing feel
Just
a little
like
bit
Dynasty
sort of like
Warriors, basically, is what you're saying.
Dynasty Warriors, except you're fighting one enemy at a time. It's nowhere near as fun and nowhere near as satisfying.
Fair enough.
I mean,
Yeah,
I'd give it a solid 5 out of 10.
Yeah.
Like if you're into it, you're into it. But I can't see it. I can't see it making any major waves, to be honest.
Yeah. It's not a must
So,
buy, is it?
yeah.
It's going back. Is basically what it is.
You already got your shoes on.
I've played my hour. I've deleted it already. It's going back.
I mean, that was a fairly hyped game leading up to its release, wasn't it?
I will say, yes, it was, and that is because it is really fucking pretty. Graphically, it is stunning.
Well,
It's by far one of the best looking PS5 games I've seen.
That's the thing with like release games, I find, especially with PlayStation, they've always been like graphically amazing. You look at like the Order 1880, whatever the fuck.
1886, yeah.
Oh god, that fucking
really
game.
like pretty looking game, like really gritty and great aesthetics. Shit game, really short, really boring, but it just looked great,
Well-
and everyone was like, "Oh shit, this game looks amazing! Like, let's get it,
Yeah.
day one, let's go!" Like,
I tell you what, I would put Godfall in the same place as Killzone Shadowfall.
yeah,
Looked
another
great,
one. Looked great.
Boring. Actually,
yeah.
nothing wrong with the build of the game. Like the game was built very well. It was just fucking boring.
Yeah.
And that's what Godfall is. It's a very well built
Hmm.
game. Looks very pretty, but it's just boring.
That's
See,
just release window games for you, in my opinion.
Sorry, JB.
I didn't think Shadowfall was that boring, but the Order I fucking hate. I didn't hate the Order, but
Well,
Shadowfall was my least favorite Killzone game, but I didn't feel as badly towards it as I did the Order.
The Shadowfall didn't feel boring when you were physically playing it, but as soon as you finished it, the whole thing was forgettable.
Yeah, okay, that's a very fair assessment.
You know what
actually.
I mean? Like at the time
Yeah.
of you being in it, you're like, yeah, no, this is pretty fun. But afterwards, I was like, I have no idea what just happened. I can't remember any of that story at all.
Yeah, that's actually funny you mentioned that because I don't remember anything. Of that story.
That's what I mean. Like, there's nothing about that storyline that was memorable in any capacity.
JB's just like, yeah, I love Killzone. Like, don't remember anything about it. at all."
Yeah, but I loved it. But there was a different. I mean, I knew when I played the Order, I was like, man, this game had a lot of potential. You know what's a real fucking shame about that is I haven't even thought about that game in years. It's such a shame that they didn't carry it.
It's
but
got
just,
so much
you know,
potential, hasn't it? It's
oh
kind of
man,
like it's kind of like Assassin's Creed 1, where it was kind of like, oh, I can see this being great,
yeah, exactly.
and then nothing. Like,
And then it just wasn't.
yeah,
Yeah,
But anyway, on games that could be great, another cheeky segue. Let's get into
Nicely
our third segment,
nicely
which
done.
is games that we want to make that could be great. So our third segment this week is a little bit, because it's the first one of the year, I wanted to get a little bit creative with it. Open up our creative juices and get everything flowing. Yeah, just for JB, we'll get all of our juices out. But so what I was thinking is this week, if you had full creative freedom to make any game on any topic you want, as long as it obviously something that would actually be able to be made and sold, you know what I mean? And you had
no
you
weird
had-
sex shit, JB.
no weird sex shit. And
All
you had
right, do me
any
last then.
studio- and you had any studio at your capacity, to build this, like any studio at all of your choice, what would you build? And like, what would that game entail? And takes on a little bit, not a super long journey, but a little bit of a journey about what it is you want and how you'd want it to work. So JB, obviously you're the guest for the week, so we always start with the guest. What would be your your build, your game.
Okay, so I'm gonna try not to get too lost in the weeds here because it's related to Mass Effect, and Mass Effect is my favorite series of all time, and I'm super into it, super passionate about it, and so I could end up talking about it for way too long. So I'm really gonna try to do a truncated version of this. But so I know, obviously, Mass Effect Legendary Edition has been announced, the remaster of the original trilogy, and in conjunction with that, BioWare also announced that they're going to be doing Mass Effect 4. So Mass Effect 4 is already something that is going to be a thing. But my pick would be for BioWare to do Mass Effect 4, but for me to have complete and total creative control. And
The way
so
the
what I
fans
would,
want it, god damn it.
well, at least the way the one fan wants it. So, Mike, Shane, I know you completed the original trilogy, right?
Yes, and I'm very
Okay.
much looking forward to playing them when they re-release them
Oh,
on
dude.
next
Yeah.
gen.
I'm taking time off of work for that, for sure. Mike, did you play the original trilogy
Oh, yeah.
all the way through?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So
just a little quick thing on that. Mass Effect was the thing that turned me from PlayStation to Xbox in the 360 days. Like,
actually, same here. It was
Yeah.
Gears of War and Mass Effect were the 1-2 combo punch that I was like, all right,
these are the ones.
I'm going over. Yeah. So you guys have played through it. Are you both familiar with the indoctrination theory?
I mean, no.
Run us through it. Run us through it real quick.
Probably, but it's been a long time since I played those games.
Yeah. Okay. So we all know that Mass Effect 3 had a very controversial ending, and basically, there are. This is where I don't want to get lost in the weeds because there are hour-and-a-half long videos on YouTube about the indoctrination theory. If you guys are interested, I would suggest going to YouTube, search it, Mass Effect indoctrination theory. It's really, really interesting stuff because the end of the game or the end of the series had a very strange and unsatisfying resolution, so much to the point where they even released kind of an updated appended version of the ending. But what you guys will see if you do look into this is there's a fair amount, granted it's speculative, but there is a fair amount of evidence and indication that really the last 30 minutes of Mass Effect 3, some very strange things happen. And there's a lot of evidence based on what we learned from the Reaper about the Reaper's indoctrination process from Mass Effect 1 through 3 that would indicate that perhaps what was happening in the last 30 to 40 minutes of Mass Effect 3 was in fact an attempt at indoctrination for Shepard, so that he didn't actually get zapped up into the Citadel. And what was actually happening, what we were playing through, was this indoctrination attempt.
Yeah.
And so what the indoctrination theory basically suggests is that if at the end of the game you have three choices, you can either elect to control the Reapers and end the war by, basically with that same mentality of the elusive man of, oh, I can control these guys, and then if I can control them, then I have ultimate power, and then I can stop them from doing this thing. But we also, we want to control them because they're this incredible potential resource. So you can do that, or you can decide to synthesize, or you can decide to destroy the Reapers. And basically what the indoctrination theory states is that destroy is the quote-unquote correct thing, because if you elect to destroy, that means that this attempt to indoctrinate you failed, essentially.
Yeah. That's the hero ending of Shepard wins because he wasn't indoctrinated kind of thing. Exactly.
And the really interesting thing is that the only way you get, there's this final, it's like a 7-second cutscene, and if you pick destroy, Shepard's armor appears in this rubble after all the other, basically most of the endings are the same regardless of what you picked outside of a few things. But if you pick destroy, those all happen as well. But then there's this few seconds of this, you're covered in rubble and you see the N7 armor and Shepard takes a breath. And that only happens if you pick destroy. So again, there's a million and one things I could say about the indoctrination theory. If you're really interested, go on YouTube because they're going to do a better job. It's a really fascinating theory, and it's not unlike BioWare to do something like this. What's interesting is that after the theory became popular, BioWare said nothing. And for all the controversy for the end of Mass Effect 3, I feel like if they were like, oh, yep, it was indoctrination the whole time, even if it wasn't supposed to be, I felt like it would have been a really good out for them, but they didn't take it. So ultimately, all that's to say, my lead up, hell of a lead up, for what I would want Mass Effect 4 to be, would be make indoctrination theory canon.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like the indoctrination is like a huge fan theory, and if they're going to do any kind of like PR recovery, then that's the way to go, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you know what? No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm just saying, like the way BioWare has been like portrayed recently is just they've just destroyed everything they've built. In terms of like, you look at Anthem, that was an absolute disaster.
Mm-hmm.
It's promised so much and delivered so little. Andromeda again. The makers of Mass Effect, they need to deliver, and I think something like indoctrination theory would be a good kind of, not an out as such, but more like a back in than an out.
Exactly. But I mean, bring the old squad back. Andromeda, the gameplay mechanics were great. But the problem with Andromeda is you didn't have Garrus, you didn't have Tali,
Yeah.
you didn't have Liara. I mean, these are characters that we absolutely fell in love with because BioWare did such a good job of cultivating these relationships.
If you played
So
it
just fucking
through,
bring them back.
If you played it through several times like me, you smashed every single one of them as well.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Obviously.
Yeah, but
How
I
else
think
do you
that's
play that game?
but I do think that's where I mean, if you make the indoctrination theory canon and you say that regardless of what you picked at the end of the trilogy, that if you pick synthesis or you pick control, there's a way to explain that away. Yeah, you picked that, but then someone shook you loose and you woke up and the Reaper War is still on, or whatever. But I think in either case, you could do a lot of different interesting things with. I mean, the Reapers at that point in that war, they had already lost a fair amount of resources. So I don't think it would be crazy to pick up Mass Effect 4 in the sense of we're just going to say Mass Effect 3 ended with some type of indoctrination attempt and Shepard snapped out of it. And so we're going to say Destroy is our canon ending. But maybe they retreated at that point because they had already lost a fair amount of resources. And each Jesus Christ, each Reaper vessel is harboring, Apex Predator data from previous generations over and over and over from these 50,000 year cycles or whatever. So they had already suffered a fair amount of losses to justify some type of temporary retreat. And then if Shepard shook off some type of really hardcore indoctrination attempt, that could also freak him out enough to at least retreat back enough. And then we could have some type of rebuilding effect for Mass Effect 4 all the way leading up to 4, 5, and 6 with the ultimate final confrontation between, this union of races and then the Reapers. I feel like that would be a fucking home run.
Yeah.
That does sound good.
Like a brand new trilogy kind of thing.
Yeah, just let us run around, rebuild the Milky Way galaxy, rebuild some mass relays, get some space pussy. Just, do shit that Shepard likes to do.
Everything that made Mass Effect great.
Exactly. Bring it back.
Yeah. I agree. I'm all the way in.
What I enjoy about this is you've gone for an idea that's very real, very really could happen, and we could see in Mass Effect 4. And me and Mike have gone for ideas that probably never will happen. Especially Mike's idea. That's never going to happen.
No, come on. Got it.
Well, let's hear it, Mike.
Right, yeah. So, picture this. Right, you've got Breath of the Wild, which is this sprawling open landscape where you literally start and the world just opens up immediately. You can go wherever you want. You can go, north, east, south, or west. But, you've got Breath of the Wild, you literally pick up a stick and that's your weapon. But imagine if there were Pokemon in that world where you would just explore Like it's super open. You can go freely wherever you want. You know, you can go straight to Mewtwo, try and fight him, get your ass kicked with a twig in your hand, or you know, like you can with Ganon, you can go literally fight him with a twig, and that can be your game if that's what you want.
Just before you continue, I saw an article earlier that said that Mewtwo was the Pokemon equivalent of Voldemort. You may now continue.
Wow.
Agreed.
Just based on looks, Mewtwo doesn't have a nose either.
But yeah, say you pick up a Bulbasaur out in the world somewhere, probably close to the start because he's the start Pokemon, and then you use his abilities to like traverse the world. You know, you'll vine whip up a mountain. You'll get to the top. You'll meet a fucking Articuno. You'll jump on his back. You'll fly fucking round the map. Do whatever you want. You know, ice blast people. Just imagine like the possibilities of mixing those two games like of Pokemon, but with the free form of like get rid of the RPG elements that make Pokemon, and just have this like go back to this rock paper scissors of fire beats ice or whatever. Which is what Pokemon was formed on, wasn't it? It's literally rock paper scissors, but expanded. It's rock paper scissors, fucking lizard Spock or whatever. But imagine
Very
that
dark dragon.
But imagine that in this open world where you can literally go, and you can, imagine it back before Pokeballs were even a thing, and you had to like actually physically capture like jump on the back or whatever and like rodeo them like you do in Breath of the Wild, where you like capture a horse by jumping on its back.
I mean, I am all for this, but I mean, I think you could still keep the Pokeball element and still have it that you have to
you
fight and capture them.
You totally could, yeah, because that's their brand, isn't it?
But I'd love to see, like, particularly when I remember as a kid when you watched the cartoons and that, there are certain Pokemon, and even in the Pokedex, it says it. There are certain Pokemon that like are herd creatures and travel. Like Bulbasaur is a herd creature and travels in a herd.
Yeah.
So why do you not discover it in a herd? Why is it always just out on its own?
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Why is it always captured in a Pokeball right at the start?
Yeah, well, there is that as well.
But there's also like these theories, like you were saying about yours, JB, about in Pokemon, the first game there was mentions of like a Pokemon war, and just imagine that like Age of Calamity type
that would be sick.
war situation where it's like pre-Pokeballs and you're fighting and using these Pokemon to fight and stuff like that. You could even do like a Pokemon tournament type combat system where if you had to keep the RPG element, you could have it an enclosed battle but keep it open world, and then when you meet another Pokemon it goes into this closed sort of arena.
That sounds really, really cool.
Yeah, there's so many fucking possibilities with it, and they're just
100% down for this. There's one other thing I'd like to see, and this is kind of like, this is the 80% of the reason why I want this to happen. And that is because you were saying about jumping on Pokemon's backs and like flying around on them if they have the abilities and that. I want to see a Breath of the Wild graphics animated me jumping on the back of a Dragonite with its tiny little wings and flying around on its back with its tiny little pathetic wings.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to ride through a field on a Rapidash and
or surf on a Magikarp.
Exactly. Yeah. I just want to be the
what
very
more
best.
could you want?
No one ever was.
I just want more Pokemon cartoon porn, and I feel like another entry in the series would encourage
Just
that.
only for that. There's not enough.
I mean, this is something that I think you're echoing what a lot of the adult Pokemon fan base wants and has been shouting for years.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? They kind of cater for like the younger end of the fan base with the games.
Yeah. With everything, really. Everything that they do.
Give it. I mean, cast Ryan Reynolds as like the fucking Pokemon boy or whatever you play as. Put him in there. You know, he's already been into Detective Pikachu. Put him in there. Get him all cursing, all swearing. You know,
See, I would.
make it for us. Us.
I
the
wouldn't. I
fucking-
wouldn't even have Ryan Reynolds as the main character. Cast Ryan Reynolds as a slightly eccentric, swearing Professor Oak. Like he just
Yeah.
rings you up every now and then and just throws some abuse at you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He'd make such a good Professor Oak.
Oh shit! Who's the guy who played Bad Santa? It was like
Billy Bob Thornton.
Billy Bob Thornton, Professor Oak. There we go.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Do that, and then have Ryan Reynolds, Gary, have him as your nemesis, your
Oh my
rival,
god! Oh my
just
god.
taunting you.
Imagine the level of shit talk you would get.
From Ryan Reynolds would be great. He's a great shit talker.
This
be
is
down
the
with that.
perfect game. Like fucking Game Freak are missing out. Nintendo are missing out by
Instead,
not making this game.
They're making Pokemon Snap, and
I mean, I'm way down for Pokemon Snap. I'll be honest. I am.
I
all the
mean,
way in
I'm
for Pokemon
not
Snap.
against Pokemon Snap, but I want this other game more.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah. I've thought about this for many years about having an open world, free roaming Pokemon game where you can literally go
Yeah.
anywhere, do what you want, and you just catch Pokemon along the way, like freely, and there was no like, like transitions where it's like fucking, the Zubat again, mint, great.
Yeah, I
Can't
mean,
wait to catch this dickhead again. Like,
the thing is, the way
insane.
that like games have gone since those original Pokemon days to like when you look at the way things to the big open worlds that like Final Fantasy has and MMOs have and even like Ni no Kuni, like
Yeah.
they're all pushing towards that because to me Ni no Kuni is the is what Pokemon should be.
Yeah.
Like that is as close to an open world Pokemon game that we're going to get,
Yeah. That's as close
in my
to
opinion.
what my dream is anyway.
Yeah, that's as close. Unless if Game Freak suddenly change their attitude, that is like as close you're going to get to the perfect Pokemon
You know what?
game.
When Shield came out and they did this semi-open field thing, I was like, "Holy shit! My fucking dream is coming true!" And then it was just an open field, but it was like closed off. So it's just like
Yeah, it was the most.
they were just
it was
right.
the
They were
most-
right there. They were so close, man. They were
Yeah,
so close.
honestly, that was the worst thing about Shield. It's like, yeah, you've got this open world, but actually, what the open world
Actually,
is
it's closed.
basically just Safari Park, but slightly bigger. So it's not open at all. Sorry, go fuck.
Yeah. God damn you, Game Freak.
Yeah.
Fucking open world cock tease.
Bastards.
Classic Game Freak. Right,
No,
so
I
Shane,
mean, I
talk-
would like that.
Shane, talk
Right,
us through.
So mine. This is a game I thought about a lot. A hell of a lot. So I haven't worked out all the kinks in it yet, but like the way I envisage it is you create a character and then it would open up and it would just do the normal like day-to-day routine. You wake up and you have the usual like tutorial section. You're a teenager, you go to school and like you get in a fight with a bully and you learn all the combat and everything through the normal sort of day-to-day tutorial section. And then the world gets attacked, you get teleported, you're a fucking Power Ranger. Full like RPG Power Ranger game where you create your character, you answer like so those in that initial hour where you're in the school, you would answer
I'm all the way in. Tell me more.
you'd answer like personality questions and stuff, and that would help dictate what Power Ranger color you would be when you eventually get chosen by
Nice.
Zordon. And then you could either play it multiplayer and have your friends as the other Power Rangers, or you play it and the other four are filled out by NPCs, and then you follow the storyline of becoming a Power Ranger and having to develop your abilities, and as you level up you unlock new abilities, new weapons, new Zords, and just have like a proper like really well thought out, quite dark as well, like story driven Rangers game where you can
Yes.
become and live the life of a Ranger, but don't have it like super like friendly and kid friendly. Have it dark and gritty. Have like Rangers getting like kidnapped and the shit beat out of them, and you have to go and like do stealth missions into like Rita's castle to rescue the kidnapped Yellow Ranger or something. Like that's my dream for a game.
I mean, I'm kind of getting little elements of like Persona where you just hang around the high school for like a few days.
Yep.
Yeah, so think like Persona meets like
Power
a
Rangers.
well, yeah, Persona meets Power Rangers, but like have it so like the combat element, so like the stealth and combat would be a bit more sort of gritty. So you would have when you're on a stealth, it would be a bit more like towards the sort of the Last of Us style element where you're kind of sneaking around and making noises to
Straight up
attract people away,
making
knocking
people
people
gurgle
unconscious.
as you cut their throat. Like,
Oh, how about this is
not slitting throats.
Persona plus Ghost of Tsushima, but Power Rangers.
Yeah, like
holy shit.
proper.
I mean,
Like
JB,
that.
when we played Ghosts of Tsushima, we touched on that, didn't we? Saying that imagine the Ghost of Tsushima multiplayer, but cross it with like turtles.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this is the
Power
perfect
Rangers-
game.
So
Like,
that works.
Yeah,
that works
Power
perfectly
Rangers would
with
work
Turtle.
perfectly with that.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, so like you've got that hand to hand and that like leg based combat, like fists and feet combat, but you've also got weapons and abilities you can use. But different missions call on different things. And then you also get to call on your Zords, and you have Zord based battles, mate.
Yeah. Oh,
You know
I'm all
what
for
I
it.
really like about that too is that, like, to your earlier point about, you know, the way you answer certain questions or interact in a specific scenario would dictate what potential Ranger colors you could be. But just on a deeper level, and I'm sure that this was kind of inferred with what you were talking about, but like the Zord allocation, you know, if you're this type of person, here are the 6 Zord variations that you can get. That's such a fucking cool idea.
Yeah. So like your
down.
personality traits that you put forward at the beginning of the game, like you could frame it as like, oh, it's careers day in school, for example, and you have to go and take a careers personality test as part of your like school day, and then those career like personality test questions dictate sort of what color Ranger you're going to be, what Zord you're going to get, and you could also have it so. Obviously, I'm a big Power Rangers fan, as you all know. In the original Rangers, Billy was known to like tinker with a lot of their tech and sort of like play around with it. And I would even have it is that you've got an NPC character that is like Billy, and that you can make modifications to your Zord as well. Like you could unlock different things to attach your like new weaponry to your Zord, or unlock new moves that your Zord could do that you could install into the Zord and things like that. So you would have an element of ownership over the development of your Ranger, as well as the actual missions you're going out on.
Imagine actually have Billy have the original first Power Ranger cast, like bring them back, make them teachers in the school, you know, like
have them as like have Billy in Zordon's lair with Alpha, and he's there and just helps, and he's like a Ranger guide, and like have Kimberly as the careers guidance counselor, and she's the one who does your personality test.
Like the
Kimberly,
the hot guidance counselor.
Yeah,
we all had one.
Have that Persona element of having off time where you're not involved in battles, where you can go and train, and there's like a local martial arts club that's run by Tommy.
Hell yeah.
Like,
or even like, you know, you cultivate a potential level of a relationship with Billy, and that gives you ABC XYZ capabilities on your Zord.
Yeah, exactly. Like, just a proper, like, really in-depth RPG-esque Power Rangers game that allows you to develop and live the life of a Power Ranger for a period of time, and sort of grow within that role. But also, and when I say dark, not obviously like Last of Us slicing throats dark, but have a darker element to it, where you say like Rita does something, or whoever, Lord Zed or whoever it is that you have as the enemy, kidnaps somebody or takes a ranger or takes one of the ranger's friends, kidnaps Billy, and then you have to go and rescue him, but you find him like beaten to a pulp in the corner and he's like barely alive, and you have to physically bring him back, or have like elements like that, like Zordon nearly dying and that sort of thing. That honestly would make me so happy.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I feel like Shane's idea won this week. That's a pretty cool idea.
I think just anything from childhood and just bringing it to that adult like level and just making it darker and like just a winning formula. Like
there was
many
many years ago as well. There was a game that I genuinely really wanted to be made, and then it actually circulated that it was being made, and then it got cancelled. I was really upset. And I don't know if you guys have ever watched it, but Stargate. Don't know if you ever watched Stargate.
I like touched on it. It's kind of one of those programs that I'll just watch, like because it was like kind of daytime TV-ish. Stuff. Kind of watch it when I was ill at school. It's just on.
But you know, and JB, did you say you have or you watched some?
I watched the movie. Never saw the series.
Okay, so like the concept, like really quickly, is like they've got these gates that travel to other gates on other planets, and there's hundreds of them all over the universe. And there's a team of 4 that go out and sort of they have to discover what's on that planet and deal with any threats and anything. How good would that be as a 4-player co-op multiplayer game, first-person shooter, to go out to these worlds, discover people? Like, and I remember thinking that game needs to get made. And then about 6 months later, all this like footage came out of this incredible-looking Stargate game that was being made, and then it just got cancelled.
I seem to remember seeing like the screenshots, but I kind of imagine it as being like a Mass Effect kind of.
Yeah, or even a third person. Like
you'll go into a world and like discover this story, and you'll, like interact and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Go out and like deal with the locals and interact with the world, address any threats.
Yeah,
bring back the information.
Yeah, and that could be a live service game that you update essentially indefinitely, because you could just keep the same formula but create new worlds.
Exactly. But we're getting off topic here because Power Rangers.
Right, sorry, Power Rangers.
But yeah, no, that's my game. That's
I feel like
my
Shane
idea.
just like, right, I'll make a topic this week that will be able to bring up Power Rangers.
Well, I mean,
fucking
smart
love
move.
Power Rangers.
No, dude, legit, that game sounds cool as hell.
Yeah, I mean,
exactly.
I play pretty much anything Power Rangers.
And JB, you could 100%, if that game existed, have a DLC where they are thrown through some sort of portal or some shit, and they end up in New York and have to fight the turtles and then work with the turtles. Because it's happened in the comics, therefore
we've come
in the game.
Yeah.
We've come full circle. Let's do this. Who do we need to write a letter to? Elon Musk? Doesn't he do everything now?
How do we make this happen? NASA. They do shit. Yeah, like how fucking good would that be? But I also do agree that a Sucker Punch based turtle game
Imagine
would
so
make me so
fucking
happy.
good. It'd be so good.
Yeah, why that doesn't exist already.
Sucker Punch, if you're listening, mate.
Which you're not, but if you are,
get on it.
If at any point you have to go back through our back catalogue of podcasts to find something, or if somebody who knows somebody in Sucker Punch is listening, that's much more likely.
I think we should title this Sucker Punch, please listen to this. And
Sucker Punch, if you're listening.
When we're famous in about 300 years.
And Sucker Punch is shut down and there is no games console. We don't have game consoles. We just buy these little injectable...
Yeah, it's just injected into your brain now.
Yeah,
you know what though?
Injectable chip.
I bet the Ninja Turtles will still be around in 300 years.
Hell yeah, they would.
Yeah, but they'll be like the Cybo Ninja Turtles or something. They'll be like half cybernetic Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, but they'll still be Ninja Turtles.
I mean, that is true.
They're timeless. They're like Jesus.
A timeless classic.
And there goes all of the religious people that listen. So far we've upset the Chinese, the religions, the turtles.
This is like a classic JB episode. To be fair.
This is-
Well, wait a minute.
mean-
I only did the Jesus thing, and that was after we've been here for a while now. And if that's my first slip up,
in
then-
fairness, JB,
then I've done a great job.
Very well behaved this episode.
No, it has been a fun one. To be fair,
There's been substantially less things that we are
have to edit.
Yeah, in fact, there's nothing we have to edit out of this
Yeah.
episode. I feel there's nothing I can think of that comes to mind that makes me go, that needs to go.
Maybe not.
Well, I'll quit while I'm ahead then.
But well, yeah. I mean, should we wrap up then anyway? Because I think we've covered everything.
Yeah,
Yeah, seems like a good idea.
We're pushing 2 hours, so that's the
Yeah.
average. I think.
Yeah, it's
That's the
about then.
average. So yeah, we'll see you on Monday when we launch this episode. We also have a blog every Friday, and if you like this episode or if not, just let us know in the comments. Give us some feedback because that's all we ask for. We don't ask for any money, anything like that. As Shane said at the beginning, just find us on YouTube, Spotify, all those good places, and don't forget to hit subscribe if you liked it. If you didn't, just do it anyway. So yeah.
And on the note of the blog, if you haven't read it yet, it came out on Friday and it details some of our plans for the year, and you should definitely go and check it out. It's a very good read.
Cheese FM lives. Yeah, so
Exactly.
that's goodbye for me.
Goodbye from me.
JB, is that also goodbye from you?
Yeah, sorry, I wanted to keep you guys in suspense. Bye.
The funny thing is, it probably isn't goodbye from JP because he'll sit in the Discord.
That's true. I'm gonna forget to hang up.
Triple FD. Triple FD. Triple FD.